associated with Sitecore for the past 6 years. I've been developing Sitecore web applications from 2016 and Sitecore 8, 9, 10, and so I'm currently working on a Sitecore 9.1 instance. And I'm twice Sitecore certified, 9.1 and 10. This is my LinkedIn profile, and the other one is my blog where I try to. That's a place where I share whatever I find interesting on my quest in Sitecore. Feel free to check them, and you can always reach out to me via LinkedIn or any other the mail channels for any queries or discussions related to Sitecore. I'll be happy to share my thoughts and help answer them. Isam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Isambard. Or Isambard Dev, as I like to go by. I'm certified with Sitecore, and I'm also sort of interested in .NET and Microsoft as well. Here's a link to my sort of blog site, which I started back in 2016 with the aspiration and the hope to sort of share what I've learned and share any of my learnings with the community, and also for myself as well, for a record of my learning, so that if I ever needed to go back in time and remember how I did certain things, or remember good ways of working, or any projects, that's what it was there for. So I tried to use pictures, I tried to use simple plain English in my blogs, so that anyone can sort of pick it up and learn. And sometimes it's difficult picking up a new language, technology, or even a new platform, a vendor platform. So I tried to make it very easy and simple, so that we can bring more talent into the community, bring more and help others, essentially.
Cool, awesome. Thanks, Isam. So without wasting any further time, we'll just straight get right to the first agenda of this connect. So Sitecore 10.3, should you upgrade? And that's it. So there are like lots of features that has been that was introduced in Sitecore 10.3. Lots of cool new features. Really, they have extended items as resources, which they introduced in Sitecore 10.1, and they've brought in lots of stuff related to it. And Sitecore, unfortunately, I just had like 1 week to explore lots of stuff, do some POCs. So I found these three features more interesting, and I've spent some time over in the last few weeks in exploring them, and we'll discuss about them in this particular. And I thought I'll share about them in this particular session. So webhooks, and that is the Sitecore embeddable forms. That's again like. Sitecore 9. The forms have been introduced in Sitecore 9, and no one in the community, or not just me, I don't think like we should have come up with that idea so quick, because it's kind of I'll explain more about the embeddable forms when I go there. And the third thing is Sitecore XConnect fault handling, which is also something that's cool. And I'll keep the last one, like shorten crisp. That's the Sitecore. The second one, shorten crisp. It's what's not there anymore. Sitecore 10.3 doesn't support Horizon. So if you are using Horizon, right? I mean, I understand that there are like less customer base for Horizon, so less projects implementing it. But still, the Horizon is not supported in 10.3. But you can get all those features and everything in XM Cloud. So ideally, anyways, the XM Cloud is the way forward. That's the impression which I get. So, and I would say so. And finally, Sitecore 10.3, who's it for us? Like after explaining all these features, like which situation you are in, and whether Sitecore 10.3 is for you, or whether you can skip it and move on to the next generation of this transition stuff. So the technical aspects. So with respect to Sitecore 10.3, these are the version numbers. I don't think like anyone notices it, but technically this is something important, right? So Sitecore 10.3 revision 008463, and they've introduced headless services 21.0. JSS has been renamed to headless, and it now brings in the ASP.NET Core rendering as well, and Sitecore Experience Accelerator. I think from 9 or 8.2, I guess, like they've started naming SXA and Sitecore the same version. So 10.3, 10.3. and the new, the baby product, Sitecore embeddable for the same versions. Apart from this, there are lots of other the new, the baby product, Sitecore embeddable for the same version. Apart from and few other features as well. But the main 4 steps which I commonly use or which we commonly use would fall under these 4 categories. So this is again an important thing. Let's just say. So webhooks. I first came across this term in April 2022, like when Order Cloud was released at that time, and Order Cloud had this webhook implementations like here and there, but I didn't get the chance to explore webhooks a lot. But I just understood what webhooks as a concept, and webhook has been there in the in the technical world for around 5 years or 4 years. So. If I'm not wrong. So this is not a new technology as together, but with respect to Sitecore and especially as an out-of-the-box feature, this is really the first time they brought it, and that's something cool, and we can definitely extend this, and we can make this feature, and we can develop lots of cool products. I mean, cool applications. So coming to it, bottom line is a webhook is just a HTTP based callback function that allows a couple of applications to interact with each other, those kinds of. The other stuff is they are triggered in case of any events or any other triggers which we specify, and the other application will the source application will trigger that, the post that JSON or XML, whatever the payload, to the target application. So it's in the simple terms. To put it up in our non-technical terms, it's just automated messages sent from apps when something happens. And to connect it with the real-time environment, this is really important. When we go to a particular, Domino's Pizza or any other, any other shops, we order some food, we order our food, and then we don't go to the counter, or we don't check every time, when it is ready. When our order is ready, we'll get the token or the number in the name board, or if you are connected to them with the mobile apps and subscriptions and all those kind of steps through their applications apps, you'll get an information that the order is ready. So that is exactly what webhook does. When a particular event or a particular incident happens, it triggers a message to the target system. So with respect to Sitecore webhooks, there are 3 main types which I explain, which I'll talk about in a minute. Prior to that, how Sitecore webhooks, they define themselves as a system that can track system event or any workflow actions. Those are the main 2 things which they are mapped right now, to an event. Like we have lots of events in Sitecore, right? Like item create, item add, item delete, item publish, etc., etc. Or again, there is this workflow, when there is a particular item, when it is submitted, when it moves to different stages or a different action that's being performed, kind of stuff. XP sends these the event details as a HTTP post to the specified URL. The webhook request payload, right? It can be sent as JSON or XML. So that's the outline of it. I do have some demo or something that I can show off that does show this session how it does. I'll go to that later, but before that, there are 3 important types: validation action, webhook validation action, submit action, and event handler. These 3, although they have the webhook term and they have this, posting an HTTP request to a particular URL, that's the common part. But the when, how, or those parts, right? They differentiate these 3 types. Moving on to the first one's the submit action. So when there is this webhook submit action is, if you see it comes out of the box, I just used this sample webhook overflow, and then I created this stuff. I'll show that in a bit, but there is already a template available for this. When you create an item based on this webhook submit action, these are those fields. And the submit action, when a particular item completes its workflow, when it goes to an approved state, right? At that time, we can include this particular submit action, and we can use this to inform any external systems. Previously, we would have been creating custom submit actions that triggers mails, or I think like there is already an existing submit action for that for triggering mails, or if we need to inform any channels, like if you have any Teams or Slack or WebEx kind of application where you need to send the push notification that this particular thing is approved or something like that, we can create a custom stuff. But right now with this webhooks implemented, right, we can straight away pass the webhook URL if we have, and then it will send the same request payload in either in XML or JSON format. It's a one-way communication. It just informs the target system some event has been happened. And now this is the second thing, which is a validation action. Which is all whatever I did, whatever I mentioned about the submit action, right? The one way it sends the payload and all those things, they are still applicable here. And on top of that, that is like the webhook here, right? The webhook validation action. It expects an response from the target system. Like when it is so that's why they have this as a validation action. Like the target system can say whether it is approved or rejected, like some true or false or boolean, any kind of stuff, so that it receives that response, the validation response, and then it can do the subsequent processing kind of stuff. I would say. And then there is this the final thing, which is the webhook event handler. This is kind of like it's a different thing. It's not related to the workflows or anything. Say, for example, if we have some actions or some events, right? I think the most common one which they would show is like either an item created or item deleted. But that can be extended to other events as well. Like the one particular example which I wanted to post about was about a publish event end. Sometimes like when we have some publishing scheduled in our applications, like now every time, like at a particular point of time, you need to publish the entire DB or something like that. In some systems, they do that. We can make use of these webhooks as something that sends you the post notifications, like the push notifications, like something is done or something like that. I'll go on to the demo. I need to switch screens. I'll start sharing my screen here, and I'll switch screens, and I'll start sharing it from the other system. Isam, can you make my other system host I need to share?
Yeah, sure. Let's have a look. If I go to participants, reclaim host, and
thank you.
That should do it, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm able to share. I logged into this particular application, before we started the session, and the session was being terminated. So in this system, I've already created a sample. The screenshots which I shared, right, were actually taken from this particular Sitecore instance. It's just a local instance which I created for this demo purpose, or for this particular session alone, where I've created the webhooks and I've configured the rules as a publish event end, and we'll be able to specify different stuff. So we can configure the rules. Like Sitecore has in general the rule editor, right? The one which we have either in the personalization rules, or if there is any the segmentations and related to that rules. Similarly, we can specify the rule, and when the rules is or fulfilled, let me just. So this is a sample webhook which I created. It is based on the template webhook event handler. As I said, like there were like 2 to 3 types, right? Like the submit action, validation action, and then there is this event. So this is the third type, which is the event handler. These are the available events as of now. Like when it is substeps that are related to items, and a few steps that are related to publish. As of now, I've created a publish end event alone, and the rule is like when we have like lots of items in place, but I've just created this query page, and then there is a when that item is query page, and when that particular item is published, I mean not published, like whatever the event that is subscribed here that happens on that particular item, this rule will be this rule verifies that, and if it is true, it will then send the request payload to this particular site. I wanted to create a separate webhook receiver application, but this is an open source webhook in a receiver site, which is available under a webhook.site. You can use this for testing your post webhook kind of steps, just to receive those things. So these are a couple of steps which I did, but I'll do the other thing. And when the authorization is a different thing. When we have a target system which requires authorization, maybe it's OAuth or OAuth2 or just an API based, whatever steps, when we need those authorizations kind of steps, we can configure them here. And Sitecore makes use of those authorization techniques, and then it sends it posts the XML or JSON to the webhook to the receiving API or the third party API or third party system. So as of now, if you see here, I've included that in the for query page and publish. So let me just publish it. Once this event is published, right, the events and the request will be posted here. Okay. If you see here, this one has now received the request, and if you see here, this is the post which happened just now, 8:50:19, and if you see here. So this is the payload data. It describes what's the event, and since it's a publish options, right, it will give this the publishing steps and whatever the ID that is published and which target it is published and by which username and all those things. Of course, just like any feature in Sitecore that can be extended, right? This particular webhook can also be extended, and even this the payload data can also be extended. We have an event subscribers and those stuffs available in the config. So if you check the Sitecore configs after in 10.3, right, there will be an additional handler included, which is for webhook handler, and you can start customizing this from there. So I guess the times we are running up, so I'll just go to the next slide here. Before that, I make this myself so that I can start sharing the screen from the other side. Okay.
Perfect.
You learn it, right? So moving on to the next one, it's the Sitecore's embeddable forms. These are like Sitecore's version of iframe. Like we know that from Sitecore 9 and above, we have Sitecore forms module, which helps us creating the Sitecore forms, and we can make use of those. As of now, we'll be able to host or we will be able to display those forms only within the Sitecore sites, be it multi-site or whatever, but only within the same Sitecore instance sites. What this does is it's a plugin kind of stuff, like where you need to specify a particular JavaScript, embeddable JavaScript, and you need to specify the forms which you have, the one which I mentioned, right? And then you'll be able to display any Sitecore forms to target environment. So the main thing, if we need to notice over here, is this is the official descriptions which Sitecore gives. You can display a Sitecore form on a page, including the pages that are not running on Sitecore. It does not affect the functionality or styles of the page. So I do have a demo for this one as well. If you see here, this is the form which I have in my 9.1 9 instance. it's just a sample form, and I don't think we have any product owners or any other persons from business here to talk about the look and feel kind of stuff. These are pretty much simple and safe. Just as it loads, right? Let it load. So time constraints, right? So I'll skip it. So this is another Sitecore instance. I mean, this is a completely different instance. It's something that runs on 10. It doesn't matter. The requirement is it has to be a Sitecore instance. No, that's not the requirement. Any web application. The only thing that we need is we need to include whatever the form ID, and we need to include the source of the embeddable forms JavaScript, and we need an API key for the authorization. I mean the authorization purpose, whether it is coming from an authorized source or something like that. And the other stuff is you need to include the CSS, some sample styles, and in your target web root, right, whatever the Sitecore 10.3 instance, you need to have this embeddable forms here. So based on this, whatever the forms which we have, right. So this is just the sample form, and I've included this form in another applications over here. And this form is created from Sitecore. Come on. Okay, I need to re-index my. Okay, thank God it came. Otherwise, I'm not sure whether you guys will believe it, but still, okay. So this is the sample form which I created over here, and we'll have that, and then it can be included here. And if we see, right, let me just post one. Something else. Product email is something. I've just included a sample, normal save data submit action. To this particular form, and once it's done, just execute that. Okay, it's submitted. Yeah, if you see here, right, yeah, here. Some query testing.com and product, the ones which were submitted. It's same thing, whatever which we have in Sitecore forms, right? We have the same steps here. I've just had this submit action included, and it's just a post data, save data to XDB. And I've done those things. That's it. I'll again stop sharing here. I'll go that. These are the two things which I wanted to discuss mainly in this particular session. The third one was just the fault handling system which was introduced by Sitecore. I think that's an important. That is something. I'll just give a yeah. Now it's better. So this is the final piece. I'm sharing my screen. I'll be able to look at this.
Yep.
So this XConnect is a fault handling system. Unfortunately, I didn't get time to create a POC or a demo for this, but this is really important. I mean, this is really cool stuff, which I would say. When having this XConnect steps in a cloud-based system, right? There will be a lot of times when we have this errors. The applications XConnects going down. There will be lots of request timeout or those kind of errors. In such cases, what will happen is the XM instance, right? It will not have an option on how to what's the strategy on when it needs to retry and those kind of stuff. So to solve all those things is the Sitecore's XConnect fault handling mechanism which they've introduced in 10.3. So it is based on exponential backup strategy, meaning like when we have these requests, when you get these response codes from Sitecore X Connect, it will try after some time, and there will be like lots of stuff like a number of retry attempts at a default fixed time interval, or number of retry attempts in an incremental time. Like the first time you try it, first attempt in 1 minute, and the second attempt in after 2 minutes, and the third attempt should be after 5 minutes, something like that. And then finally there is this, there is a custom interval, wow, each request, like whatever the time that needs to be done before this. And just like any other systems in Sitecore, these are also configurable. So all we need to do is like we can specify them in this particular file, xconnect client config, whatever the max elements and whatever the additional code which we need, response code, we can include them here as well. So finally, the thing is like Sitecore 10.3, who is it for? So if you're in Sitecore 9 and above 10.1, 10.2, and if you don't have this rewrite plan in for the next few months or years, you can then opt for Sitecore 10.3. Otherwise, the Sitecore 10.3 you can skip if you're in 8 or 7, and then you can straight away go to XM Cloud, because that's the, anyways, one way or the other way, all the applications now we should be targeting the cloud-based thing, because lots of stuff that right now we are doing this upgrade on our own, but when we go to a SaaS-based application, these upgrades, they'll be handling it. We'll be just consuming the features. So that's the cool thing. Considering the time, right, I'll just stop it right here. Thanks for having me, Sam. Over to you.
No worries. Thank you, everybody. Listen, there's going to be a part 2 because we ran out of time, but that was fantastic.